Through the shadows where the storms collide, she stands with courage as her guide. Her whispers echo louder than screams, faithful to God through broken dreams. She's the silent storm, unshaken, strong. Through the trials, she's where hope belongs, a survivor standing tall, unbound. Her voice a beacon breaking the cloud. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the table set for stories shared, no room for regret. At 5:30 sharp, hearts come alive. Together we heal, together we thrive. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the table set for stories shared, no room for regret. At 5:30 sharp, hearts come alive. Together we heal, together we thrive.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in on tonight. What a beautiful day it is on this Thursday, Real Table Talk on today. Oh, I'm exhausted. I'm very exhausted today, you guys. Rushing. I was rushing today. Well, anyway, first of all, I just want to, like I always do, I always like to start off welcoming my guests, my replay gang, to my show. So, welcome to Forever Lisa Roy Jewel's Palace Room, known as Safe Haven, where it's real talk, real people, real life in this room. You will find God's love, peace, joy, happiness, unity, and respect. That is the standard here, and we hold to it. Okay. Now, what are you watching is a live discussion. Everything I share is my opinion or my thought, and as well as some news reporting, I will go research to discuss with you guys. Okay. Uh, but if the shoe fit, go ahead and wear it. And one final thing, because I want to be clear, I'm not a preacher, I'm not a teacher, I am not a counselor, a therapist, or a doctor. I am simply a willing vessel being used by God for his purpose, not man. Okay, not man purpose. I don't believe in, pleasing man. I'm a God pleaser. That's who I am up over here. Okay. So just know that I don't not no follower. I don't let nobody be my puppet master for Elise to go where she want to go and where she wants to go. Okay, that's it, and that's all. That's who I am. Okay, so now we finna go ahead and I got to post my copyright disclaimer up there because that's what I just do. So I'm gonna put the banner up there as well, so you guys can go ahead and read along with me. Okay, and then we're gonna get into it. Okay, so there go the copyright disclaimer right there. If you guys want to go ahead and read that with me. Okay, and it reads copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 allows it's made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. This is a nonprofit, educational, and personal platform and fair use applies. Okay, okay. So let me go ahead and remove that out the way real quick. Um, that way we can go ahead and get started on what we're going to talk about on today. Ooh, it's hot. I'm hot, y'all. I'm sorry. So God is good. God is good. God is good. And it's so good to see you all here today. Okay. And I appreciate every one of you guys for being here to support this live, support what we're about to talk about. Okay. So so real quick, I got to sorry, you guys, this is live and you're live. You got to make sure everything is okay. So everything is okay. Let me turn this down. Okay. So welcome people on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and finish getting started. Okay. I want you to pay attention. There's a woman, and this woman made a choice. Okay. That changed everything. Okay. Not the choice that he wanted her to make, not the choice he tried to pressure her into, not the choice that he told her was the easy one, the smart one, the practical one. She said no. You have no idea what she was against. The fear, the pressure, telling her to abort her own baby that he fathered and didn't want. You can't even imagine all the obstacles she had to overcome just to hold on to what she believed in her spirit. But she held on as long as she could. And just know, in her spirit, she's still here. And so is her child. Okay? So it's sad that what she had to went through. So what we're going to do right now, people, we're going to watch a video, okay, of actually what happened to this young lady, okay, which her name is India Kinmore. Okay, she was 9 months pregnant. She was getting ready to go get induced on the same day that the person who she trusts, the person who she trusts, okay, to unalive her and his child that she was carrying. Okay, that was September the 4th. She was going to get induced. And that's when they unalive her. Okay, so I want you guys to go ahead and sit back and relax, you guys, and we finna go ahead, and get started on with this. So let me pull this video up, um, pull this video up for all of us to watch on together. Okay, so this is sad. So go get your family, go get your mom, your dad, any of your loved ones that you know that might be in some type of violent abuse relationship, okay? Because this man right here, Kayvon Warren, he was living a double life. And you will hear that, and you will hear that in this video, okay? All the pressure was on him. He was losing everything. He even lost his home. Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. We're gonna play this video, and I might stop it, on and off of the video, because I do want to discuss and say some things about it. Okay. So first, before we start the video, I'm gonna let you hear the news itself. Okay. Let you hear the news itself. Okay. Let me, you guys. Okay. Let me share it. Mhm. Share screen. This news brief right here is not short, but they have been this happened in 2023, so they just now going to court for this stuff. And I believe two of the guys already got convicted already, and one is still yet to get charged, I believe. I think they all get charged. We're gonna
He
hear.
killed his own son or plotted to kill his own son. He's been out for 2 years while this investigation is going on, while my daughter and his grandson are resting in a grave. I don't think he should see the light of day until this case is solved.
An unexpected discovery in the 2023 murder case of a Coleraine woman and her unborn child. Police have charged 3 people with murder, one of whom was the father of that unborn child. They were in court today, and so was our Brenda Ordonez, who joins us live.
Yep.
Rob, yeah, bond hearings, they usually happen pretty quickly. This one took a bit longer. Prosecutors talked case details. They even allowed the victim's mother, who we just heard, recount how it is that she found out her daughter and unborn grandson had been murdered.
Her child was 6 years old when this murder happened, and he was in the house. I got the phone call from my grandson to say, my mommy has been shot. Somebody is in our house shooting, and my mommy is screaming.
March 4th, 2023, a day Terry Kinamore will never forget. Her 26-year-old pregnant daughter, India, killed in her home. Terry says India's partner and the father of her unborn child, Kayvon Warren, were together when it happened.
From the surveillance of the apartment, you can hear my child screaming every time she got shot, but not once did you hear Mr. Warren say, what the hell is going on? Baby this, and you heard nothing.
Prosecutors say a complex investigation yielded cell phone records and location evidence pointing to Warren, Robert Ervin, and the alleged gunman Lamar Morris Suggs orchestrating the murder.
At some point, the evidence that has been uncovered was that he wanted her to terminate that pregnancy. Ms. Kinamore was scheduled to be induced the same morning as the murder.
It's very unfortunate that this woman was killed and she was pregnant with his child, a child that he wanted.
Warren's defense attorney, Clyde Bennett, asked for a reasonable bond, saying Warren has a full-time job, no criminal history, and has not fled the city despite knowing he was under investigation for the last 2 years.
Someone willing to engage in this level of violence against people that they really care about, love, and with this level of cruelty makes us believe that if he is out, the rest of us wouldn't stand a chance.
Warren was issued a $600,000 bond for the 2 murder charges he's facing, similar to his co-defendant Robert Ervin. Here's his defense attorney.
The only tie that he has with this case is from some messages that apparently have the 2 co-defendants in and allegedly have Mr. Ervin. So he finds himself in a guilty by association situation here.
Prosecutors say evidence shows Ervin parked near the murder and was communicating with his co-defendants in the hours leading up to it.
Conspiring to come up with this plan to kill Ms. Kinamore and her unborn child.
Yeah, now the alleged gunman, he was not in court today. He's currently being locked up at the Ohio Department of Corrections on an unrelated felony charge. We're, of course, going to continue following all 3 of these cases as they make their way through the court system. For now, outside of the Justice Center, Brenda Ordonez, Fox 19 Now.
Okay, that was the news brief about the 3 guys, and I don't understand how they even think that he wasn't involved. Yeah, hey Kevin, how you doing? Yes, he was involved. He was involved with that. He just got caught up. Talking about he wanted a child. No, you don't want that child. He wanted her to abort that child. Okay, he was in another relationship with another woman, and he was having financial, problems. He was trying to take care of 2 homes and couldn't do it, and try to eliminate her, India, and the baby, instead of him just coming clean with her, letting her know, he want to move on, and let her move on with her child, with her baby that she wanted. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and continue on to watch this other video. Okay, so you ladies, if you got somebody out there, know somebody out there that's in a bad relationship, it's it's best for them, try their best to get to safety. Okay, get to safety. It's very sad. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start. Okay.
Hey guys, let's do a pregnancy bump update. So I am now, get this fucking baby out of me, weeks along. The baby is the size of a fucking whale and what sounds like at least 5 painful stitches. My main symptom is bitch.
be with me right now, if you don't come and be with me right now, I'm gonna blow your mama car up. And I'm gonna tell the audience. Because I'm gonna tell you she never brought him in this world.
Bruh, get out for me. What?
How are you gonna do? How for you?
Move on.
How are you gonna get me up for you?
Her little baby is so cute. That's her 6-year-old son right there.
Okay.
She had done everything right. The nursery was ready. Soft blankets folded neatly. Pastel onesies organized by size. A little name tag already picked out, Karen. She had whispered that name so many times, practicing how it would feel to finally say it out loud while holding him in her arms.
Yes.
Her hospital bag was packed and sitting right by the front door. She had repacked it 3 times that week, not because she forgot anything, but because she was just that excited. That was India. Detail-oriented, intentional. A woman who poured everything she had into the people she loved. March 4th, 2023 was circled on her calendar in bright red ink. It was her induction day, the day she would finally meet her baby boy. She had been counting down to this moment for months, telling anyone who would listen exactly how many days were left. Friends say she was glowing. Her mother Terry described her in those final weeks as more hopeful than she had ever seen her. India had plans, big ones. A bigger home, a fresh start, a growing family. Everything she had been working toward was finally about to come together. But on the night of March 3rd, while India slept peacefully in her home on Hidden Meadows Drive in Coleraine Township, Ohio, something else was already in motion. Something she knew nothing.
Isn't that sad, you guys? The day before, March 3rd, 2023. She was excited. She was happy. She was getting ready to, getting things ready. She had her suitcase by her front door, ready to go that next morning when she got up. Okay, when she was expecting to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready, and be heading to the hospital. But she woke up being shocked, seeing who they were, seeing her baby. If he was there, seeing him. You know what I'm saying? Don't know what's going on. She tried to save her own baby. Try to save the baby that she had in there. And her 6-year-old son was in the other room. In the other room. That's sad. That's sad. When he could just left and just packed up and left and walked away. Let's continue on listening.
About. At 5 a.m. on March 4th, 2023, the very morning India was supposed to wake up with butterflies and drive to the hospital, a door was forced open. Heavy footsteps crossed the threshold of her apartment. And before she even had a chance to understand what was happening, her 6-year-old son woke up that morning and found his mother lying lifeless on the floor. That little boy, too young to fully understand what death meant, picked up the phone and called his grandmother. And the words he spoke broke something in everyone who heard them. My mommy has been shot. Somebody is in our house and my mommy is screaming. Police arrived to find a scene staged to look like a burglary gone wrong.
Another child cannot grow up with his mother. And that's why this case touched me so much, because it kind of reminded me of the Ramika Blackman case that's going through right now. You know what I'm saying? Even though Ramika was not pregnant, but it was 2 women and a man. It's sad. And it's going on all around. Brothers, get yourself together. Okay, if you don't want the woman, you don't have to, unalive her. Just walk out. Leave her alone. It's some red flags, ladies, that you see in the relationship. When you see a red flag in a relationship, walk away. Your life is more important than to stay in an abusive relationship.
But investigators knew almost immediately this was no random break-in. Nothing had been stolen. Nothing of value had been touched. This was calculated. This was planned. And here is the detail that will stop you cold. The father of India's unborn child, the man she trusted, the man she believed would stand beside her as she brought their son into the world, had already walked into his workplace days before and requested bereavement leave. Not after her death. Before it, he asked for time off to grieve for a woman who is still alive, still packing her hospital bag, still talking to her unborn son, still trusting him completely. This is the story of India Nicole Kinamore, a mother.
Hey, Jojo. Hey, Melissa. Good to see you. Been so long. Blessings to you. Let's continue. I'm sorry, you guys. I had to speak.
A daughter, a woman full of love, full of hope, and full of plans for a future that was stolen from her on the day it was supposed to begin. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear will change the way you think about the people closest to you.
Hello.
Man, I think me and you need some space, man.
Space? What you mean, like space or space?
Space as in separate.
Okay, well, you can go in the living room and I go in the other room. What you talking about?
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about seeing other
Crazy.
people. Like, meet other people.
Okay, then you want to meet other people?
Yup.
You want to meet other people?
Yup.
Okay, I tell you what then. You can meet God and I'm going to go meet the judge. The only doggone people you going to meet somewhere here with me. You with me until you die, okay?
Before her name ever appeared in a headline, before her story became a criminal case, before the world knew what happened on Hidden Meadows Drive, there was just Indy. That's what the people who loved her called her. Not India, Indy. And if you knew her, you understood why. There was something about her that felt familiar the moment you met her. Easy to talk to, easy to laugh with. The kind of person who made you feel like you had known her your whole life, even if you had only just met. India Nicole Kinamore was born on May 12, 1996 in Cincinnati, Ohio. She grew up surrounded by family, close relatives who adored her, and a mother, Terry, who saw early on that her daughter had something special. A heart, Terry would later say, that was almost too big for this world. And she meant that in the most beautiful way. India was a giver. Not in the way people say it casually, but in the way you feel it. If you needed something, India found a way to make it happen. If you were hungry, she would share her last meal without a second thought. If you needed someone to talk to at midnight when everything felt like too much, India would stay on that phone with you until you felt okay again. She was funny too, the kind of funny that fills a room. Friends remember her laughter. Loud, genuine, and completely contagious. She carried herself with a quiet confidence, a woman who had been through enough to know her own worth and wasn't afraid to show it. But above everything else, above her humor, her generosity, her dreams, India was a mother. Her 6-year-old son was her entire world. Every decision she made, every long shift she worked, every plan she put into place.
She had the right to live. She had the right to say no. When he asked her to get rid of the baby because of his financial issue, and because he was decided that he wanted to go, try to take care of her and another woman, his choice. He didn't have to do that to her. Hey, soul sister, good to see you. Blessings. Hey, Vibrant, thanks for dropping everything down. Blessings to you all. Okay, let's continue on. This is just sad, y'all. This just break my heart. It just really break my heart. Let's continue on to listen.
It all came back to him. She wanted to give him every opportunity she never had. She showed up to every school event. She helped with every homework assignment. She made sure that little boy knew, without any doubt, that he was loved. Neighbors often saw them outside together. India teaching him to ride his bike, pushing him on the swings, turning ordinary afternoons into memories he would carry forever.
Dude, I love you. Give mommy kiss.
She wasn't just raising a child, she was building a person. And then came news that filled her with a joy she could barely contain. She was pregnant again, a baby boy, and she already knew his name, Karen. From the moment she found out, India threw herself into preparing with the same dedication she applied to everything in her life. She set up a small space in her apartment just for him. Soft blankets folded with care, pastel onesies organized by size, bottles stacked neatly on a shelf like she was counting down the days by arranging them one by one. She kept every ultrasound photo, showed them proudly to anyone who would look. She researched baby names, even though she had already decided, read parenting books, and spent quiet evenings sitting in that nursery with her hands resting on her belly, talking softly to Karen about all the adventures they would have together.
Beautiful young lady. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. You know, it's just, oh my God, you guys, I'm just lost. I don't even know what else to say because it's so much going on with these um women getting unalive because a man don't want them or whatever reason for when he can just walk away. Just walk away. It's sad. It's sad. Lord help us. Help your people, God.
Her mother, Terry, watched all of it. Every moment of preparation, every burst of excitement. And she later recalled her daughter's anticipation with a voice full of both love and heartbreak. She couldn't wait to have him, to meet him, and to hold him. India Kinamore was not just getting by. She was not just making it through the days. She was thriving. And she was so close, so incredibly close, to everything she had been working toward. A new baby, a fresh chapter, a family complete. She just never got the chance to live it. Every love story has a beginning. And to those on the outside looking in, India and Kayvon Warren seemed like they could have been something real. He was 30 years old, established, or so it appeared. The kind of man who carried himself with enough confidence to make you believe he had things figured out. For about 2 years, India shared her life with him. They made plans together. They talked about the future. And when India discovered she was carrying his child, a baby boy they would name Karen, there was every reason to believe this was the beginning of something beautiful. But appearances, as India would come to learn, can hide an entire other life. Because behind the version of Kayvon Warren that India knew was a man living a double life. While India was preparing that nursery, while she was folding those tiny...
And why take pictures with this woman and you didn't want the child? You know, you put your personal reason, your personal self, the things that you was going through in front of this beautiful lady and this unborn child who didn't have a chance to even take one breath.
onesies and stacking those bottles on the shelf. While she was counting down the days to meet their son, Kayvon Warren was involved with another woman. Not a fleeting moment of weakness, not something he was trying to end. A full, ongoing relationship that he had been carefully managing alongside his relationship with India. 2 women, 2 lives, and a web of lies holding it all together. And that was just the beginning. Beneath the surface of Kayvon's life, everything was collapsing. Financially, he was drowning. Investigators would later uncover mounting debts, foreclosure proceedings on his home, and the impossible math of a man who could barely support himself, let alone 2 relationships and a baby on the way. The pressure was building from every direction. And instead of facing it, instead of being honest with India, instead of walking away like a man with any measure of integrity, Kayvon Warren turned that pressure on her. He began pressuring India to terminate the pregnancy. He told her he couldn't handle it, that the timing was wrong, that they weren't ready. He pushed and he pushed, desperate to make the problem disappear the easy way. But India refused. She chose hope over fear. She chose Karen over convenience.
And that's exactly what she did. She went all the way through, her pregnancy. And the same day, she was had got up that morning to have her baby. The day that's supposed to have been the happiest day of her life. To finally get to meet her unborn child. Can you imagine what she was going to bed thinking about? So excited. Probably went to bed early. You know what I'm saying? Just couldn't wait to wake up in the morning and go to the hospital to meet her beautiful son. The son who I believe he said Carrie. Sad.
She looked at everything Kayvon was asking her to give up, and she said no. And for a woman of India's character, that decision made complete sense. This baby was wanted. This baby was loved. This baby already had a name, a nursery, and a mother who had been talking to him for months. But for Kayvon Warren, India's refusal didn't just complicate things. It apparently became something he could not accept. In those final weeks, the people closest to India began to notice changes. Kayvon had grown distant, cold in a way that felt different from their usual arguments. There was an anger beneath the surface that India couldn't quite explain but could absolutely feel. She started sharing her unease with close friends. Nothing specific, no threats she could point to, just a feeling, that quiet, unsettling sense that something wasn't right. Her mother Terry recalled that India seemed troubled in those final weeks, that she would say things quietly, almost to herself. I just want everything to be okay when the baby comes. It was a small sentence, 7 words, but it carried the weight of a woman trying to hold her world together with both hands while something she couldn't name was slowly pulling it apart. Still, India refused to let fear steal her joy. She kept preparing. She kept smiling. She kept showing up for her son, for her pregnancy, for the future she believed was still possible, because that was who India was. She didn't give up. She didn't walk away from hope easily. But here's the truth that makes this story almost impossible to sit with. While India was willing herself to stay calm, while she was breathing through her unease and choosing to believe in the best, Kayvon Warren had already made a decision. Not in a moment of rage, not in a flash of anger after a heated argument. A decision. Deliberate, calculated, cold. And he wasn't going to carry it out alone. When a man
See, that show you how a coward that he was. He could even do it alone. He had to go get some young boys. I think the age was 20 and one was 22, somewhere up in there. Had to go get them to do it for him. People, technology is tough. Okay? You cannot get away with murder with this technology. They didn't have no witnesses. What they had against them was text messaging, video cameras, hearing her voice. They can go back as far, I don't care how much you delete stuff out your phone. If the detective wants and the police wants to go in there and dig them out, that's what they can do. Okay? They keep all records. I don't care what phone that you got. You will not get away with it. This happened to her on March 4th, 2023. Okay. They've been watching them anyway this whole time. They've been watching them. And so now they just got convicted of August the 21st of 2025. All three, not one, all three of them. And one was already in jail during this time, August the 2025. One was already in jail for a different charge, for a gun charge. Okay, so let's continue on.
Decides he wants someone gone. There are two kinds of decisions that follow. There is the kind born in a moment, a flash of rage, a loss of control, a terrible second that cannot be taken back. Courts understand that kind. Juries have seen that kind. It is devastating. It is wrong, but it is at least human in its chaos. And then there is the other kind, the kind where a man sits down, think it through, make a plan, assigns roles, set a date, and goes about his normal life in the days that follow, going to work, eating dinner, sleeping at night, while the person he has decided to destroy has no idea what is coming. What Kayvon Warren allegedly did to India Kinamore was the second kind. Kayvon knew he couldn't do this alone. He reached out. He recruited. Two men entered the picture. Robert Ervin, 20 years old. Lamar Morris Suggs, 22 years old. Three men, a group chat, and a plan that would take two lives. Investigators would later recover the messages exchanged between them, conversations that laid out the conspiracy in detail, the timing, the approach, the roles each man would play. These weren't vague discussions or idle talk. These were logistics, step by step, message by message. A murder being organized the same way someone might organize a move or plan a road trip. The cover story was simple. Make it look like a burglary gone wrong. Break in through the back. Rough up the place. Make it look like India was caught in the middle of a random home invasion. The kind of crime that happens. The kind investigators spend weeks chasing leads on. The kind that keeps a community afraid of strangers while the real danger walks free. It was, on the surface, a decent plan, but there was one detail, one single, staggering.
And do you see how he looked at like he was so happy. And at this whole time, even during her baby shower, he already probably had this already planned. Already had this plan.
Detail that would eventually unravel everything. In the days before March 4th, 2023, while India Kinamore was at home repacking her hospital bag for the last time, while she was folding Karen's tiny clothes and double-checking that everything was ready, while she was counting down the final hours to the happiest day of her life, Kayvon Warren walked into his workplace and requested bereavement leave. Read that again slowly if you need to. He requested time off from work to grieve his girlfriend's death while she was still alive, while she was still breathing.
Now y'all hear that? He went to request some time off for the death of his girlfriend and his unborn child while she was still breathing. She wasn't even dead yet. She wasn't even dead yet. And that's what he did. He premeditated all this whole thing. It's sad. My God, my God.
While she was still trusting him, he had already scheduled the morning, already arranged the time off, already prepared for the aftermath, before the act had even taken place. This was not a crime of passion. This was not a moment of rage. This was not an argument that went too far. This was a calendar event.
A
Planned,
calendar event.
scheduled, executed. The kind of coldness that is difficult.
A calendar event, planned, executed on a calendar, on a date that she's supposed to went to the hospital to have his son, his son.
To fully comprehend because it requires a person to look at someone they have held, someone they have laughed with, someone who is carrying their child, and feel nothing. To reduce a human life to a problem on a to-do list. And it gets worse. After March 4th, after India was gone, after her family was shattered and her community was grieving and her 6-year-old son was trying to understand why his mother wasn't coming home, Kayvon Warren went on social media. And he performed. He posted messages about how hurt he was, how devastated, how much he was suffering. He dressed himself in grief the same way someone dresses for a role, deliberately, carefully, for an audience. The man who investigators say organized every detail of India's murder was not
A wolf in sheep clothing. Look innocent on the outside. Got on the camera, got on social media so people can feel sorry for him, taking all of the condolences, knowing he know what he did, knowing he know what he did. And he didn't care nothing about her son, her oldest son. He didn't care nothing about that. He did. I'm glad that he did allow him to leave. But the reason why I say he didn't care about him because the unborn child, he didn't want his own unborn child. Okay. He didn't care about her because the 6-year-old son, I mean, little boy, which he was 6 at that time in 2023, he was 6. He's 9 years old now. But at that time, he did not care about him because he took his mom. He took his mom.
now publicly mourning her, crying for the cameras, letting people comfort him, accepting condolences for a loss he allegedly engineered himself. 3 men, a group chat, a staged burglary, a bereavement request filed before the body was cold. The plan was in place, and India Kinamore had no idea that the clock was already ticking. There are days that exist in 2 versions, the version that was supposed to happen, and the version that did. For India Kinamore, March 4th, 2023 was supposed to be the culmination of everything. Months of preparation, months of anticipation, months of whispering Karen's name into the quiet of that nursery and imagining the moment she would finally hold him. She had gone to bed the night before with that feeling in her chest, that warm, electric mix of nervousness and excitement that only comes when something truly life-changing is hours away. Her hospital bag was by the door. Her son was asleep. Her baby was almost here. For one last night, everything was still okay. Hidden Meadows Drive in Coleraine Township, Ohio was quiet in the early hours of March 4th. The kind of quiet that belongs to that specific hour. 5 a.m., when the night has not quite let go and the morning has not quite arrived. When the world is still and most people are still wrapped in the safety of sleep. India was among them, asleep, unaware, hours away from meeting her son. And then, a door. Forced open. Heavy footsteps crossed the threshold of India's apartment, moving through the dark, moving with purpose, moving toward a woman who had done nothing to deserve what was coming. Lamar Morris Suggs, identified by prosecutors as the man who pulled the trigger, moved through that apartment with the kind of calm that only comes from a plan that has been rehearsed. This was not confusion. This was not hesitation. This was an execution. The apartment surveillance system captured what happened next. And I want to be careful here because India Kinamore was a real person, a mother, a daughter, A woman who deserved so much more than the way her story ended. So I will not dwell on the details beyond what is necessary to understand the gravity of what was taken that morning. What the surveillance captured was India's voice, her screams, the sound of a mother, instinctive, desperate, fierce, trying to protect the life growing inside her even in her final moments, because that is who India was. Even then, even in the most terrifying seconds of her life, her first instinct was not for herself. It was for Karen.
Yes.
Multiple gunshots. And then, silence. India Kinamore never made it to the hospital. Baby Karen never took his first breath. 2 lives, stolen in the space of heartbeats, in the home that was supposed to be their safe place, in the early hours of the day that was supposed to change everything in the most beautiful way imaginable. The
Yes.
men moved quickly after. They had a story to sell and a scene to set. Drawers were pulled open, items were moved, signs of forced entry were staged. The apartment was arranged to tell a specific lie, that India Kinamore had been the victim of a random burglary, a tragic case of wrong place, wrong time. They left believing they had bought themselves time. They left believing the lie would hold. But they left something behind that no amount of staging could erase. They left evidence, and they left a little boy. India's 6-year-old son woke up that morning the way children do, without any awareness of what the world can do to the people you love most. He padded through that apartment looking for his mother the way he had done every single morning of his small life. And he found her, too young to fully understand. Old enough to know that something was terribly, horribly wrong. He did the only thing he could think to do. He picked up the phone, and he called his grandmother. And the words that came out of that little boy's mouth, words.
And that was sad. You know what I'm saying? When the grandmother picked up the phone that morning, she probably answered the phone thinking, it's India calling because it's time for her to go have her baby. You know what I'm saying? And to hear her 6-year-old grandson telling her, Grandma, mommy been shot. Mommy is screaming. And you can hear all the screaming in the background. This is sad. This is sad. And so I know in December, Kayvon, he is still in jail with no bond. None of the people are getting out. They all is there with no bond, okay? Because Hamilton County prosecutor, her name is Connie. I cannot pronounce her last name. I think it's called Pillage. Announced this is an old article that I'm just reading, okay, so you guys can see where it's at. Today that the grand jury has indicted 3 men for the roles in the killing of 26-year-old India Kinamore on March 4th, 2023. Okay. And she, like to say, Kinamore was pregnant at the time and due to give birth that same day. That's the sad part about it right there. Okay. They were charged on 13 counts of indictment, including 4 counts of aggravated murder, as well as charge of burglary and felony assault. Warren and Morris Suggs are also charged with having a weapon while under disability. Okay. I will let you guys know that this was December of 2025. So they still go to court, even though this happened back in 2023. So people that's following Romika, it's gonna happen. They're gonna get charged too. Okay, they're gonna get charged too. It's gonna take a long process. Okay, so let's continue. I just wanted to to say that. I apologize. Let me go ahead and continue.
No child should ever have to say. Words that Terry Kinamore will carry with her for the rest of her life. My mommy has been shot. Somebody is in our house and my mommy is screaming. First responders arrived at Hidden Meadows Drive to find a scene that told 2 stories at once. The story the killers wanted them to see, a burglary, and the story that experienced investigators began to see almost immediately, a scene that had been arranged, a lie that had been constructed, a cover that, the moment you looked closely enough, started falling apart. Because nothing had been taken. Not one valuable item. Not one thing that a real burglar would have come for. The chaos was staged. And the Coleraine Township Police Department, looking at a 26-year-old woman shot dead in her own home on the morning she was supposed to give birth, made a decision that would set the course of the next 2.5 years. They were not going to let this go. 873 days. That is how long it took. 873 days between the morning India Kinamore was found lifeless in her apartment and the morning 3 men finally felt handcuffs close around their wrists. 873 days of Terry Kinamore waking up every single morning knowing who was
My prayer goes out to her mother, Terry. You know, I mean, it hurt. I know this had been hard, for her. Got to, constantly going to the graveyard, constantly going to court, making sure that her child, justice will be served. Make sure that they won't slip this up under a carpet and make her another statistic. But they didn't do that. She didn't do that. She made sure, and fought to make sure that all 3 of them was charged.
responsible for her daughter's death, and watching those people move freely through the same world India no longer got to live in. 873 days of a little boy growing up without his mother. 873 days of a nursery that never got used. Of a hospital bag that never made it to the car. Of a name, Karen, that never got spoken out loud the way India had imagined. Justice, when it finally came, was not fast, but it was coming, even when it didn't look like it. In the immediate aftermath of the shooting, investigators arrived at Hidden Meadows Drive with the staged scene staring them in the face. A burglary. That was the story. And for a time it worked. Detectives spent the early weeks of the investigation chasing leads that went nowhere. Known burglars in the area were interviewed. Pawn shops were checked for stolen items that never materialized. Neighborhood canvasses were conducted. The community was living in fear. The killers had counted on exactly this. A community paralyzed by fear of a phantom criminal, looking outward, at strangers, at dark streets, at unknown faces, while the real danger sat comfortably among them. But here is what Kayvon Warren and his accomplices did not fully account for. They lived in 2023. And in 2023, phones remember everything. The breakthrough in this case did not come from a witness stepping forward. It came from digital forensics. Investigators began pulling cell phone records. And what they found was not just information, it was a roadmap. In the weeks leading up to March 4th, 2023, Kayvon Warren, Robert Ervin, and Lamar Morris Suggs had been communicating extensively. Their phones had been pinging cell towers across Hamilton County, creating an invisible but undeniable map of their movements. Every call, every message, every location, all of it recorded, all of it waiting. And then came the deleted messages. Because here is something that people who plan crimes in text messages often do not fully understand. Deleting a message from your phone does not delete it from the world. Service providers keep records. Digital forensics experts.
Listen, people. Listen, people. Listen to this.
Know exactly where to look. And what investigators recovered from those deleted conversations was devastating. A step-by-step account of the conspiracy. Messages discussing the plan. Messages assigning roles. Messages about timing, approach, and execution. Conversations that showed Warren's growing desperation about the pregnancy, about his finances, about the other woman in his life. The timestamps allowed investigators to reconstruct the entire timeline. The communications between the 3 men continued until 3:40 a.m. on the morning of March 4th, and then went completely silent, right up until the moment India's body was discovered. Cell phone location data placed all three men in the vicinity of Hidden Meadows Drive during that window. Their devices told investigators exactly where they had been, exactly when they had been there.
See, your cell phones follow you everywhere you go. It pings everywhere that you go.
Exactly how their movements aligned with the timeline of India's murder. The staged burglary began to collapse. And then investigators found it. The single piece of evidence that transformed this case from strong to overwhelming. The bereavement leave request. Documentation, time-stamped, employer verified, showing that Kayvon Warren had formally requested time off from work to grieve his girlfriend's death before she was killed. In a case built on digital evidence and recovered messages and location data, this one document did something none of the others could do quite as powerfully. It proved intent. While investigators were building their case, Terry Kinamore was living inside the silence of those 873 days in a way that is almost impossible to describe. She attended every court hearing, every status conference, every procedural appearance that moved this case forward by inches when she needed it to move by miles. There were moments when the investigation seemed to stall, when leads dried up, when the family quietly wondered whether India's case would join the thousands of unsolved murders that never find resolution. But Terry never stopped.
And that's true. It's so many unsolved murders out there. It's a lot out there. And I'm glad that her mom, Terry, stayed on top of it to make sure that, they found them. You know what I'm saying? It took them 2 years to put all the evidence together, but they got it all together. They put it all together and they brought charges on those men. The father, Kayvon Warren, he needs to get life, probably death. I hate to say it. And then again, I don't want him to have the death penalty because I want him to feel the pain. Let him feel the pain. Don't even give him the death penalty for this. Let him feel it for the rest of his life. Because doing that death penalty stuff, that's really just giving him the coward way out. The way out. No, let him feel it.
Believing. I never gave up, she would later say. There were a lot of people who thought this case would never be solved, but I have faith in God. I know that God can do anything.
Yes, he can.
873 days after India was taken, the evidence was ready. The case was ready. And on August 21st, 2025, justice finally started moving.
Yes.
August 21st, 2025. A Wednesday morning that started like any other in Hamilton County, Ohio. But by midday, everything had changed. For three men who had spent 873 days believing they had gotten away with it. Three men who had gone about their lives, eating, sleeping, breathing, while India Kinamore and her son Karen lay side by side in Spring Grove Cemetery. That Wednesday morning, the clock ran out. At 11:47 a.m., a coordinated operation launched simultaneously across Hamilton County. Robert Ervin was taken into custody at his residence. No incident, no chase, just the quiet, inevitable closing of a trap that had been built over 2.5 years.
Hey, Thomas.
Kayvon Warren, the man India trusted, the man who requested bereavement leave before her death, the man prosecutors would call the mastermind, came face.
See him. He the one needs to get a lot of time. A lot of time. Because he was wrong to go and unalive that young lady. That young lady, all because of his troubles, all because of what he was going through. And he want to unalive her on her due date. The day she was going to get induced to have her baby be born. That's sad. You a coward. You know good.
Face to face with detectives who had been building this moment brick by brick for nearly 3 years. And Lamar Morris Suggs, identified by prosecutors as the man who pulled the trigger, was already behind bars on unrelated weapons charges. When officers arrived to inform him of the new charges, he discovered that his past had followed him somewhere even prison walls couldn't protect him from. For India's family, the phone call they had spent 873 days waiting for finally came. 1 week later, on August 28, 2025, Hamilton County Prosecutor Connie Pillock stood before the media and laid out 13 counts. 4 counts of aggravated murder, 2 for India, 2 for baby Karen. Because Ohio law recognized that unborn child as a separate victim, a separate life, a separate loss.
That's right. That's because a child is not born. That she was in her full term. She was in her full term, getting ready to deliver that baby that same day. So rightfully so that they get charged for that child too. So I'm glad the mayor, whoever your prosecutor, said what they said.
Aggravated burglary, felonious assault, weapons violations, 13 counts, for 2 lives taken in one calculated act. This should have been one of the happiest days of India's life, said Hamilton County Prosecutor Connie Pillock. Instead, the father of the child conspired with 2 others to kill her. It is heartbreaking. My office will see that justice is done for both India and her baby. And for the first time in 873 days, India's family finally felt like someone in power was speaking their truth out loud. Watch what happened next.
3 men are facing murder charges for killing 26-year-old India Kinamore and her unborn child. Thanks for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Ashley Kirkland.
And I'm Chris Jacobs. The 2023 shooting happened in Coleraine Township, and WLWT News 5's Danielle Dendak has been covering this case from the beginning. And Danielle, 2 of the men charged were arraigned today, and India's mother was also there.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Chris. She spoke and it was very emotional. She told the courtroom that her daughter was killed on the day she was set to get induced.
My name is Terry Kinamore. I'm India's mother.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Behind the glass sits a pain that can't be seen but heard. For Terry Kinamore, that heartbreak dates back to March 2023.
I got the phone call from my grandson to say my mommy has been shot.
26-year-old India Kinamore was pregnant.
Scheduled to be induced the same morning as the murder.
It would take almost 2.5 years for charges to come. 3 men, 20-year-old Robert Ervin, 30-year-old Kayvon Warren, and 22-year-old Lamar Morris Suggs.
Conspiring to come up with this plan to kill Ms. Kinamore and her unborn child.
Ervin and Warren spent their Friday morning in front of a judge. Inside this courtroom, we learned the fatal family ties.
Mr. Warren was involved in a relationship with the victim. The victim was pregnant, and that at some point the evidence that has been uncovered was that he wanted her to terminate that pregnancy.
By the way, they don't say he's a shooter. They claim there's a conspiracy. They claim that Lamar Suggs is a shooter. Give him a high bond.
But this fierce mom had words for Warren.
I don't think he should see the light of day until this case is solved. That's what I would ask of this court.
Warren and Ervin are being held on a $600,000 bond. Suggs not in court today because he was already in prison on an unrelated weapons charge. Danielle Dendak, WLWT News.
No scripted words could have said it better than Terry did herself.
Right.
That was a mother's truth, raw, unfiltered.
And she had every right to say what she said. That was her daughter she had to bury. That was her grandson that she had to bury. That was somebody that she allowed in her house. They've been dating for a couple of years. So I'm quite sure, he was in her house, welcoming him in. And you can do something like that to her daughter? take her daughter away from her and her son and the rest of her family. She had every right to want him to stay locked up. Like she said, he was out for 2 years. He should have even been out those 2 years. But what they was doing, they was waiting for him to mess up on something else. They was watching him those whole 2 years. Yes, they was.
And impossible to ignore. Terry Kinamore did not come to that courtroom broken. She came as a mother who had made a promise
Right.
to her daughter,
Mhm.
a promise she had spent 873 days fighting to keep. And on
Yeah.
that Wednesday, in August 2025, she kept it. India's mother, Terry Kinamore, never stopped going to that cemetery. Through all 873 days, through every court hearing, every sleepless night, every moment when it felt like justice would never come, she
Yes.
kept showing up. For India, for Karen, for the promise she made to never let their names fade into silence. And what she said when justice finally came, you need to hear directly from her.
Well, India Kinamore's mother spoke to us from here at Spring Grove Cemetery, where her daughter and unborn grandchild are both buried. Terry Kinamore says she always knew justice would come, but wasn't sure how long it would take.
I never gave up. There was a lot of people that just thought that this case would never be solved. And I have faith in God.
Yes.
I know that God can do anything.
A
Amen.
grieving mother sits next to her daughter and unborn grandson's grave. In the beginning, Terry Kinamore says it was hard for her to visit. Now she says it feels a little bit lighter.
Now, I'm able to come back and tell her that the people that did this to her, they have been caught and justice will be served.
Coleraine Township Police announced last week 3 people have been charged with the murder of India Kinamore and her unborn child, Robert Ervin, Lamar Morris Suggs, and Kayvon Warren.
I just don't know why someone would want to do something like that.
I don't either, Terry. I'm not even.
To just one person, but 2 people.
Terry says Warren is the child's father. He and India had been in a relationship for a couple of years. The other 2 suspects, Terry says she had never met.
I thought that Kayvon was a nice, upstanding gentleman. And he turned out to be a complete opposite, a monster.
Monster.
Because only a monster would do something like this.
That's right.
The shooting happened at an apartment complex on Hidden Meadows Drive, according to Coleraine Police, but a motive is still unknown. Kinamore, Terry says, was due to deliver baby Kyron within hours of being killed.
She couldn't wait to have him and to meet him and hold him. And she never got that chance. He never got that chance to feel his mother's arms around him and to hear, I love you.
Terry says Warren's lack of concern about the status of the investigation was always a red flag.
And to come and find out that you had something to do with it, that's a slap in the face.
It is a slap in the face.
That's a slap in the face. You never really cared. You couldn't have cared.
Well, Terry says that her daughter was always willing to help someone. She described her as fun-spirited and funny, and she says that she misses her every single day. Meanwhile, both Ervin and Warren, they appeared in court on Friday. Their bonds set at $600,000. Suggs is in the Ohio Department of Corrections on separate charges. Reporting in Spring Grove Village, Brittany Harry, Fox 19 Now.
Brittany, thank you.
That was not just a grieving mother speaking. That was a woman who refused to break, who turned 873 days of pain into purpose, who founded a support group for families affected by domestic violence so that no other mother would have to walk the road she walked alone.
Right. My prayers.
Because here's the truth that India's story forces all of us to sit with. India Kinamore was not killed by a stranger on a dark street.
That's
she
right.
was not the victim of random violence or unfortunate
No, she
circumstances.
wasn't.
She was killed by someone she trusted. Someone she had let into her life, her home, her heart. Someone who sat across from her at dinner and held her hand and knew every detail of her daily routine.
Yep.
The most dangerous place for many women is not out there, in the world, among strangers, in the dark. It is in their own homes, with the people closest to them, with the people they have chosen to love. India sensed something was wrong in those final weeks. That quiet unease she carried, but couldn't fully name. That sentence she kept returning to, I just want everything to be okay when the baby comes. She was not naive. She was not blind. She was a woman trying to hold hope together while something she couldn't yet see was pulling it apart. And her story, as devastating as it is not unique, which is exactly why it needs to be told. India's friends remember her laughter, the way it filled every room she walked into. Sunday breakfasts with her son, movie nights in pajamas, dancing in the kitchen when her favorite song came on. Her son carries her smile, her mother carries her name, and her community carries her story. India Nicole Kinamore, born May 12, 1996, a daughter, a mother, a friend, a light, and baby Karen, who never drew a single breath outside of his mother's love, but who was wanted and named and prepared for and dreamed about. Both of them deserve more, and the world deserved to know their story.
Yes.
Before we close today, I want to say something directly to you, not as a content creator, not as a narrator walking you through the details of a case, but as someone who sat with India's story long enough to feel the full weight of it.
Yes.
What happened to India Kinamore was not inevitable. It was not fate. It was not bad luck. It was not the universe being cruel in that random, senseless way that tragedies sometimes are. It was a choice. A choice made by a man who decided that his financial problems, his double life, and his unwillingness to face responsibility were worth more than the life of the woman carrying his child. And that choice, that devastating, unforgivable choice, is the reason a 6-year-old boy grew up without his mother.
Yeah.
The reason Terry Kinamore learned what it feels like to bury both a daughter and a grandson on the same day. The reason a nursery full of soft blankets and pastel onesies and neatly stacked bottles never got used the way it was supposed to be. India's story is not just a true crime case. It is a warning. It is a reminder that the signs are often there, quiet, easy to dismiss, easy to explain away, long before the danger becomes undeniable. The distance, the coldness, the pressure. The feeling that something isn't right that India carried in those final weeks but couldn't quite name. If you are watching this and something in India's story feels familiar, please do not wait for certainty before you reach out for help. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 1-800-799-7233. Text START to 88788. Online, thehotline.org. These resources exist because India's story is not the only one. Because there are people right now in relationships that feel wrong in ways they cannot fully articulate. Because getting out is complicated and frightening, and sometimes feels impossible. But it is never impossible. And your life, like India's life, is worth fighting for. As for this case, Kayvon Warren, Robert Ervin, and Lamar Morris Suggs are facing charges that carry the possibility of life in prison without the possibility of parole. The wheels of justice are turning, and this channel will be here when the next chapter of this story unfolds.
Yes. So I'm going to stop sharing you guys with that. And it's very, very heartbreaking for, to see something like this, to watch something like this. But the story got to be told. Okay. It got to be told. We got to continue on to keep their names alive. That's why I'm on Ramika all the time, to keep her name alive, to keep her story out there so other women can see, when you're involved with a man and they got, another woman, let him go. Let him have that woman. Okay? Let him have that woman. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it, people. It's really, really not worth it. And don't let yourself, go that route. Okay? And be another number. Be another um um number. This is so, 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 so sad. Now you have seen it. Okay? And I need you to sit with that for a moment. What you had just seen. This was not just about a baby. This was a woman looked danger in her face. Somebody who she trusted. Okay? And she still said no. She chose her child. She chose her conviction. And he took everything from her because of it. This man, Kayvon Warren, was living a double life. He had another woman. He was losing his house. He was losing everything. And instead of being accountable, he chose to take her life. So he called his friends, the two young men, okay? And together they made sure she could never speak again. All because of Kayvon couldn't accept the responsibility of being a father. Okay? But here's what he didn't count on. Okay? God has the final word. They all are charged, and I believe they all will be convicted. And once they be convicted, they are looking for life in prison without parole. One boy is 20 and one boy is 22. Just threw their threw their life away. Threw it all away. Okay? But her baby never got to take a first breath, never got to breathe, never got to see the world, but not even for 5 minutes. Okay? But India, her story is alive tonight. And that is why we tell it. Okay? So if this table bless you tonight, don't just sit with it, share it. Someone in your circle needs to hear this message right now. Hit the like, please. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. I want to see you. And if you are not subscribed yet, okay, I got a YouTube channel, and I have a Facebook, and I also have Instagram, and I also have TikTok up out of For Belisa, the Silent Storm, okay? And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We are here every Tuesdays at 5:30 for Justice for Ramika, and every Thursdays at 5:30 for Thursday's Choice. Right here at this table. This is Real Table Talk, Thursday's Choice. I'm your host, Forever Lisa. I'm your silent storm. And until next week, stay anchored, stay grounded, and stay in conviction. God bless you all. Say her name, India Kinamore. Good night. Thank you, Facebook. Thank you, Instagram. And thank you, YouTube, for tuning in. God bless you.
through the shadows where the storms collide. She stands with courage as her guide. Her whispers echo louder than screams, faithful to God through broken dreams. She's the silent storm, unshaken, strong. Through the trials, she's where hope belongs, a survivor standing tall, unbowed. Her voice a beacon breaking the cloud. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the table set for stories shared, no room for regret. At 5:30 sharp, hearts come alive. Together we heal, together we thrive. Tuesdays and Thursdays, the table set for stories shared, no room for regret.